Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we are going to talk about EC2 and the main components of EC2. Yeah. So for example, you may have question like, okay, if I don't want to create server on premises, I can go to the Amazon EC2 platform and I can create my server inside the EC2 platform, right? But you may have question about operating system, like how I can install operating system, how I can select the configuration and all this. Okay, so in this upcoming video we'll talk about related to this, and then we will create our first EC2 instance. Okay, now one of the most important components when you are creating your EC2 instance is AMI. Okay, so AMI is stands for Amazon Machine Image. Okay, so in this video we are going to talk about AMI. Okay, and once you will understand this, we'll talk about instance type. Okay, and then we will create our EC2 instance. So let me share my screen. Okay, so now we are going to talk about three major points about AMI images. Yeah, may you will get question about AMI in the exam. Okay, and before I explain you using mind map, let me open EC2 dashboard. Okay, so I'm over here in the EC2 dashboard. As I explained you in the previous video, you have to log into the AWS account and then you have to select EC2 dashboard, and from this dashboard you will get this screen. Okay, now if you want to create a virtual machine, you have to go over here. Okay, and you have to click launch instance and then launch instance again. Okay, now when you launch your instance, you will get step 1, and here we have this choose an AMI image. Okay, and in this video I'm going to talk about what is actually AMI image is. Okay, so let's start with the mind map. So first of all, we will talk about basic principles of a Amazon machine image, and then we will talk about other points. Yeah, so 5 points that you have to consider. First is like, what is AMI? AMI is a template that provides required information to launch an EC2 instance. Okay, now using AMI you can launch your instance and it will provide you required information. Now what it will provide you? Yeah, so it will provide you detail about operating system and about the root volume and many other things. Okay, so here we are not going to install operating system, like there is no process to install OS inside the server. Yeah, we just need to choose AMI based on the requirement. So AMI is just one type of template. Okay, you must specify the source. You must specify a source AMI when you launch your instance. So first step is like, I have to select one of the AMI. For example, I can choose AMI based on the operating system. For example, if I want Windows Server, I can select AMI of the Windows Server. Okay, if I want to use Red Hat Linux, I can use Red Hat Linux as well. Okay, so you have to select AMI first, and one of the factor that you can select AMI is your operating system. Yeah, we have many other factor, but I'm just going to talk about one of the factor. Yeah, now you can launch multiple instance from a single AMI when you need a multiple instance with the same configuration. Yeah, so in upcoming session we will create this. Yeah, for example, if you want your own configuration, you can create your AMI. Okay, and if you want to create multiple instance using same AMI, you can do this as well. For example, if I want to create a 5 Linux server, yeah, with the same configuration with the same AMI, I'm just going to select this. Okay, this is the instance type. We'll talk about this, and then configure instance, and here we have number of instance. Yeah, so if I'm going to type 5 over here, it means it will create 5 instance with the same AMI image, means same AMI same configuration. It will create 5 instance for me. Yeah, so we will talk about this, but right now this is what the meaning of this particular statement. Yeah, now there are different type of AMI to launch the different type of EC2 instance. Okay, so we have all list of the AMI. Yeah, and we can select 64-bit for normal Intel based system. We can select for ARM based. Basically we are using this in the laptop, in the mobile device, in the tablet, in the iPad. Yeah, we have this ARM based processor. Yeah, so if you have ARM based machine, you have to select this. Like if you want to create this, you can select ARM based processor as well using your AMI. Yeah, so here we have this configuration selection. Okay, now the AMI include the following. Okay, so what actually AMI includes? The first is an operating system. Okay, so by selecting AMI, actually you are selecting your operating system, like what will be the operating system of your instance. Okay, now with some of the AMI you will get application as well. Okay, so for example, if you are going to use this AMI, yeah, it will install all this software together. Yeah, and you will get better example in Windows. See, here we have this Microsoft Windows Server 2019 base. If you are selecting this, it will install only Windows, right? But if you are selecting this Microsoft Windows Server 2019 base with container, so it will install Windows Server with the container service. Okay, here we have like another one like Microsoft Windows Server 2019 with SQL Server and 2017 standard. So it will install SQL Server with your EC2 instance as well, right? So if you are going to install this, they have this pre-installed Apache, MySQL. Yeah, you will get 5. PHP as well, Ruby. Okay, so AMI is not only installing operating system, it is installing required application servers, applications as well. Okay, now with the AMI you will get login permission that control which AWS account can use this AMI. Every AMI having this limitation. Okay, and whatever you are getting over here is like, it is like anyone can use it. Yeah, you can create your own AMI, you can give permission so other user can able to access your AMI as well. Okay, but we'll talk about this in upcoming session. Now detail about the block device. Now this is important. Okay, when you are selecting your AMI, you will select, see this, we are getting root device type EBS. Okay, root device type EBS. See this. Now this is root device type EBS is most important. EBS stands for elastic block storage. Yeah, and we have one another option is instance store. Yeah, you will not get instance store over here, but let me go to the community AMI. Okay, here we have the AMI, like which operating system you want. Based on this, it will give you the list of AMI. You can select based on the processor. Like if you want to use 32-bit operating system, you have Intel based processor, you have ARM based processor, it will give you the list of this. Yeah, and when you see over here, it is root device type. Okay, so we have this EBS and instance store. Okay, so if I'm going to click over here, I'm getting all the AMI based on the instance store. Okay, now you may have question like, what is this instance store? Okay, don't worry about it. In this particular 2 and 3 number mind map, I will explain you about this. Okay, so this is like a first thing that you have to understand. Okay, here we are not going to install operating system, we are just going to select operating system. Yeah, we are just going to select AMI. AMI is a template, and this template will create our virtual machine. Okay, now how I can select, like I know that what is AMI, right? Now I'm having idea of this, but now how can I select my AMI? Okay, so there are 5 points that you have to consider. First is region. Okay, region, like based on region you have the list of AMI. Okay, if you are in the different region, you may get a different AMI. Okay, so AMI is based on the region first. Yeah, you already know that, like we are in the Mumbai region. Yeah, and if you want to create your server in another region, you have to change your region from this particular point. Yeah, now based on the operating system, for example, if you want to install Microsoft, you have to select AMI with this particular AMI ID, and if you want to use Linux, you can select this particular AMI ID. It is like there are many different variants of the Linux operating system, so you can select any of them which is as per your requirement. Yeah. Now architecture, for example, if you want to install 32-bit or 64-bit, I already explained you will get this from here. So if you want to install 32-bit operating system, you have to select this particular AMI. Yeah. And basically we are not using 32-bit operating system nowadays, so a normal rule is use Intel based processor and use 64-bit operating system. So this AMI is really most popular, so these AMI are in list over here. Okay. And launch permission. Okay, so we can also give the permission to others. We'll talk about this in the upcoming session, so don't worry. Okay, and based on this, like storage for the root device, as I explained you over here, detail about blocked device, and here we are getting this detail. Yeah. So now here we have Amazon EBS backed AMI and we have Amazon Instance Store backed AMI. Okay. So what is the difference between these two? Okay. For example, if I'm over here, I'm getting this root device type EBS. Okay. And if I'm going to select this community AMI, and if I'm going to select this, I'm getting Instance Store. Okay. So this is the question, like what is the difference between EBS and a Instance Store? Yeah. So basically it is my recommended that you should select EBS backed AMI only. Yeah. Because EBS is a elastic block storage, or we can say that this is a hard drive of your computer. Okay. So when you have physical computer, you have hard drive. Here we have either EBS, we call it elastic block storage, or we have this Instance Store. Yeah, this is like again a hard drive. Okay. Now when we are talking about hard drive, we are talking about root device volume. Yeah, root device volume means what? When we have this operating system inside this. Okay. So we'll talk about data volume later. Right now we are talking about hard drive of the operating system. Hard drive, which the partition which contain operating system. Okay. So you can select operating system partition in the AMI like two way. Either you can use EBS root device volume, or you can use Instance Store root device volume. Yeah. Now what is the difference? Okay, we have a list of difference, like a 7 difference. Okay, keep this in mind. I'm going to talk about one by one. Okay. So usually less than 1 minute to boot. So if you are using EBS backed volume, your instance usually takes only 1 minute to start, and here we have like a 5 minute. Okay. Second thing is maximum limit. If you are using EBS backed, you can create volume up to 16 TB, and here you have only 10 GB. Okay, so Instance Store cannot be more than 10 GB. Now this is EBS volume and this is Instance Store, as I already explained you. Okay, now this is important, keep this in mind. By default, the root volume is deleted when the instance terminated. Data on any other EBS volumes persistent after the instance terminated by default. Okay, so by default root volume is deleted when the instance terminated. Data on any other EBS volume persistence after the instance terminated by default. By default it will delete this. Okay, but if you want to delete instance, and if you don't want to delete the data inside the instance, like if you don't want to delete the EBS volume, you can do it as well. Okay, so this is the biggest advantage. For example, I want to throw my PC, but I want this hard drive. Okay, so EBS is like this. Yeah, EBS is like this. So you can, like by default it will delete this, but if you want to store this EBS volume and you want to delete instance, you can do this. But in case of Instance Store, data on any Instance Store volume persistent only during the life of the instance. Okay, so when you delete instance, it will delete EBS, it will delete your Instance Store. Yeah, you cannot save this. Okay, and in this case you can. right? Now the instance type, kernel, RAM disk and user data can be changed while the instance is stopped. Yeah, see this, like instance type, kernel, RAM disk and user data can be changed while the instance is stopped. Okay, so if your server is not running, okay, in this case you can detach your EBS volume from your server and you can attach them to the other server and you can use them. Okay, but if you are using this, yeah, instance attribute are fixed for the life of the instance, you cannot touch it. Okay, and when you delete this, it will remove your entire instance store. Yeah, you will not get this. Okay, if you delete instance, it will delete instance store as well. Okay, you are charged for the instance usage, EBS volume usage and storing your AMI as a EBS snapshot. Okay, so now the matter is, if you are using EBS volume, the disadvantage, or we can say the drawback, is even though your EC2 instance is stopped, okay, but you have data inside the EBS volume, you have to pay them. Yeah, and if you are using this, you are charged for the instance usage and storing your AMI in Amazon S3. Okay, so basically you are not using it, so you are charging for the, you have to, like they are charging for S3, right? And can be stop state. Even when the instance is stopped and not running, the root volume is persistent in the Amazon EBS. Yeah, so the persistence means what? It will never lose your data. If you stop your instance, no need to worry, the data inside EBS volume is like safe. Okay, but if you are using this, cannot be in the stop state, instance are running or terminate. Yeah, so cannot be in the stop state. Okay, instance are running or terminated. Like when your instance is running, EBS volume is running. Yeah, when your instance is terminated, it will remove this. Yeah, so it means, what I can say, instance store is not persistent. Okay, so when you stop your EC2 instance, yeah, you will lose the data inside your instance store. Okay, so these are the differences between EBS backed AMI and instance store backed AMI. Okay, now let me give you one normal example. Okay, so for example, if I'm going to create EC2 instance, okay, I have to go to other step, then I will come back. So for example, I'm going to select this and now select. Yeah, keep this in mind, I'm creating EBS. Yeah, root type EBS. So I'm creating EBS backed volume. Okay, now select. We'll talk about this later. Okay, we'll talk about this options also. Okay, don't worry about it. Add storage, and here we are talking about add storage. Okay, now when you are using Linux, like when you are creating Linux instance, it will give you 8 GB of EBS volume. Yeah, it is EBS backed. Okay, and say this, here you will get delete on termination. So what happened, suppose this is on, it means when you delete your EC2 instance, it will remove this EBS volume as well. Okay, now if you remove this and then you click next, okay, now what happened, if you delete your EC2 instance, okay, but your EBS volume will be there. Okay, you can attach it with the another instance and you can use this. Okay, second thing, if you stop this instance and then start this, the data inside this volume will be there. Yeah, it is persistent. Okay, so this is the main thing about EBS. Now EBS backed EC2 instance. Now I'm going to click cancel. Okay, and now I'm going to click launch instance, and I'm going to select community AMI, and here I'm going to select instance store. Okay, now click select. Yeah, we are creating instance store volume. Yeah, instance store backed AMI. Yeah, so we have instance store backed EC2 instance. Configure. Okay, and we are not going to change anything. and here we have this. Okay, now no problem, like it will add new hard drive, no problem, but this is the main thing. See this, what we are getting over here, delete on termination not applicable. Why? Because this are instance store. Yeah, we are getting instance store over here, and when you delete your instance, it will delete this instance store as well. It will delete this hard drive as well. And the biggest problem is it is non-persistent. So when you stop your EC2 instance, it will remove the entire data from your EBS volume. Yeah, for your instance store volume. Yeah, so keep this in mind. So the best practice is always launch instance using EBS backed volume. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you have to take care of this when you are selecting your AMI, right? So these are the 7 differences that is really useful. Okay, and now we are going to talk about the last point. Okay, this is really important. Okay, because of the exam. If you need an AMI across the multiple region, okay, so basically AMI is based on the region, and if you need AMI across the multiple region, you have to copy the AMI across the region. Okay, not that by default AMI that you have created will not be available across all the region, right? So we will talk about our own AMI. So at that time I will explain you how you can copy AMI from one region to another. For this point of time, you just need to understand that if you need an AMI across the multiple region, you have to copy the AMI across the region, right? And by default it will be there in your region only. Okay, so this is what we have about the AMI. Okay, and we have to select our AMI based on the creation of our EC2 instance. Okay, so for example, in upcoming session we'll create a Windows instance. So at that time I will select Windows AMI, and if I want to create Linux, I have to select Linux AMI. Okay, but take care about EBS backed volume and instance store backed volume, right? So this is done. If you have any question, yeah, you can comment below and I will try to answer as soon as possible. Okay, and thank you very much, and we are going to meet on the next video, in which I will talk about instance configuration. Yeah, we'll talk about instance type. Okay, and once it will be ready, like once you will understand instance type, we will create our first EC2 instance. Okay, so thank you very much. Bye.